Hi everybody, this is Carol from Practical Mystic. I am so glad to be back. I know it's been a long time since I did a video, especially this series on Modified Celtic Cross Spread. This is video number 4. In video number 3, we talked about these cards that you are seeing already laid out, and because the video was quite long, I didn't go forward and finish the whole Celtic cross. Now, what is a modified Celtic cross? Video 1 and 2, I gave you how I had modified specifically the Celtic cross, the traditional Celtic cross, which picking out a significator, looking to see how the cards are cut. So if you haven't seen that and you're interested in how I teach and how I've come through the years to do the modified Celtic cross, please look at video 1, 2, and then of course 3. And today what I'm finishing up is the traditional way of doing a Celtic cross with a little bit more modernized information or aspects of how to determine what the cards mean, other than the vagueness of this is on top of you, this is before you, this crowns you, so on and so forth. And we're going to discuss that. And I'm really intrigued to see how this scenario works out, because there's a lot of cups and we talked about love and feelings and relationships and emotions and people and a lot of stuff. And today we're going to finish that reading. Now the last series to this, of course, will be number 5, where I will show you again a very specific modification through the use of numerology, where you can do that when your client comes in and get additional information. Okay, folks, so let's continue here. We know that we finished off with card number 6, which I call the bridge card. It's also, you can call it a gate card. And basically, we're moving on from the 2 crosses that we formed here. We formed a cross with card number 1 and 2, and then we formed a cross this way with these cards, which are explained in video number 3. So today we are looking at position number 7. Traditionally, this represents your fears, your self-attitude, your persona now. What's the word persona? Persona is a word that was coined by Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, where it is it comes from the word personality, where he discussed how we wear a persona or a mask in the public as our personality self, what we present to the public, to others. And we carry this mask throughout our life. It's called our persona. And card number 7 kind of looks at that image we portray to others. It also has to do with card number 3, which is this one. And it may shed light as to why this is so, why the information of card number 7 is tied into card number 3. And as I had said probably in previous videos, that when we do a Celtic cross, we look at all the surrounding cards, because they give off light, they give off energy to the cards surrounding it. So you have the interpretation of the individual card, and then you have the interpretation how it blends in or doesn't blend in with the card perceiving it, following it, under it, below it, all of that. So we're going to look a little bit in that area today as well. So let's see what the card is. Card number 7. This represents your fears, your self-attitude. In it is the 3 of Swords. So we're continuing with our scenario here with our client. There's been lost love, or there's been a feeling that love is no longer there. And here with the Three of Swords, let's look at what or how we interpreted card number 6, which is that the client may not have dealt with her emotions here at the 9 level, at the 9 of the Cups. And we talked about that being very important. And here, card number 7 says, until you deal with your emotions here, there's always going to be past wounds. Now, this card sometimes is looked upon as a very detriment card, but let's look at it a little differently. There's no blood coming out of the heart. The swords are placed methodically and they touch one another. So it means that, well, let me backtrack a little bit. Let's talk about what the Suit of Swords represents. It has to do with our mental, our thinking, our psychology, and our mental makeup, how we process information, and our emotions, okay? So if these swords are touching one another, then this is past wounds. One triggers the other then in turn, it's almost like a domino effect. But there has to be a grieving period, and that is what is related by the rain coming out of the clouds. When we have stress, we feel tight and anxious, and then all of a sudden, we cry, or the clouds burst, and we let out all that emotions, all that frustrations, all those feelings, and then we feel better. And that's what this card is all about. That rain or feelings of pain, whether it's emotional or mental, is temporary. It rains only for a little while, and once you get it all out, you're going to feel better. So she needs to deal with these past hurts, these past pains, and then let them go. This represents your fear. Now, you may be afraid or still in denial to deal with the personal emotional losses that our client seems to have had, whether it started out as a wonderful partnership, it became the lovers, and then it dissipated. Then those are areas that we're seeing our client needing to address to move forward, because we're talking about the future now. So as far as a persona, I would look at that as that she does wear her pain where others may see that. She may be sensitive. She may be easily disappointed or discouraged. And it sheds lights on why this is. So we're going to bring it here right back to card number 3, because there is a feeling of futility or inadequacy in sharing love or partnerships, or even being understood or understanding the dynamics of emotions and true love, and not infatuation, in giving and taking. So there's a lot of information we can see by looking at the card before it and then butting it up to card number 3. Our next card traditionally is usually labeled that which surrounds you, your environment. Now, I added some others. It could be your home, your family, it could be work and friends, your relationships, and also how others view you. So that is the energy of the layout of the Celtic Cross for position number 8. So let's look to see what card is here for our client. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, we have another 9. We are now at the 9 of Swords. So I would ask my client, do you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders? Do you feel like you think about, again, we're looking at swords, the thinking, the mind, evaluating that you bring to bed with you or wherever you are, um, whether it's your family, whether it's home, or whether it's at work, or whether it's in your relationships, or whether it's in your own life, these unresolved issues, scenarios, anxiety, situations that in the past have hurt or affected you and others, and you can't seem to let them go. They follow you along. But the good news of the Knight of Swords is, again, at the 9 level, you've completed that. You now know that you're not seeing clearly, okay? That is depicted in the Rider-Waite card by her really covering up her eyes. Psychologically, she's saying, I don't understand it, and I can't see my way through it. And I'm at a state where I don't want to do this anymore. And once you've reached that state, then healing can begin. It takes maturity, and it takes a willingness to confront painful emotions or painful realities of what has occurred around your family, yourself, your colleagues, your relationships, and say, okay, it happened. And I've learned from it, and it's no longer a problem, only if I continue to make it a problem. So this card can be looked at as you've reached the limit now, and you've identified that you no longer want this burden to be taken by you upon yourself. Now, how others view you is that you may walk around feeling unhappy or anxious or sad or burdened or overwhelmed and not enjoying life as it occurs each and every day. All right, now we come to position number 9. This, again, traditionally, we would look at the Celtic cross and it would say, this represents your hopes and desires and goals. I went on to say how and what you see for your future. That's what you want to maybe manifest, or what needs to be addressed. And of course, we know where you feel right now you are, but how are you going to address it? So this represents your hopes and your desires and your goals. So what is our client thinking? The Knight of Pentacles, an excellent card. We now have grounding. If you recall, when I did video number 3, I expressed to you that the 9 of Cups, because it was reversed, the emotions were not grounded. If the scenario of our future comes to pass, then our client has the means to get grounded once our client reaches this state. At that point, the Knight of Pentacles says, okay, we're going to work now. We know what we got to do. I'm going to take action, because Pentacles has to do with the reality of rolling up our sleeves. It's an earth element, it's stable, and you're no longer in this emotional energy field where it was all water, where you were drowning in the reality of what had taken place, what hadn't taken place, the emotions that surface, our feelings that surface when relationships and love affairs or whatever had occurred here took place. And now you are finding stability on the earth plane. As well as the Knight of Pentacles is facing the direction of the right. It's not over here in the past. It is facing the right direction, which means our client is moving forward. Now, this horse is a very strong. It'll get the job done. The Knight A knight indicates that action will be taken to solidify my hopes, my goals, and maybe the focus is no longer on relationships, family, and friends, but on me, who I am, what I stand for. And for this client, maybe security, financial security, buying something that gives her a feeling of accomplishment, because we know again from the previous video that her self-confidence isn't there. Her self-esteem isn't there. So now she is working towards regaining that with the Knight of Pentacles, which is very important and a very good card to have in position number 8. So how and what you see for your future is very positive for this client. And what needs to be addressed is to get grounded, to have a game plan, to get stable, and to move forward away from the activities that for so long have kept you in emotional and mental turmoil. All right, so the outcome card. Let's talk about this. In the Celtic Cross, we have an outcome, and we don't want to give that outcome that, well, this is what's going to happen, because we now have opened up in our tarot spread information, and that information said, well, this may have occurred here, and you validate it with your client. This was in the past. This is the energy, the feeling. And then we opened up cards 7, 8, and 9 and saying the activity and the action and the emotions are now set in a way that if you like what you are being told and you do what the cards may be indicating, then the possible outcome is what this card would represent. But again, I want to reiterate that when you give information to your client, they have free will to act and react on what you have given them. It has a lot to do with their emotional state, their maturity, their psychological state, and where they want to go. There isn't any feeling of right and wrong. There is the neutrality of the information that's been revealed. You bring it forward. You give the best information that you can. You answer their questions once you finish the reading to help clarify the information that they still may want additional insights on, and then you leave it up to them to go forward with it. You're better off not to be attached to the outcome or to feel like you need to convince anyone of anything. That is my policy that I'm offering to you. Okay, because this is their life, this is their reading. So the last card, traditionally card number 10, is the possible outcome. What we've gained or what we may lose. Again, it's going to be on choice and free will. So what is the outcome? We have another 5. It is the 5 of Pentacles. All right, before we go ahead and give a divinatory meaning of this outcome card, let's take inventory of what has happened thus far. Now, how do we do that? Well, earlier I said that we look at how many of the suits have come out in the 10 card layout. We have all 4 suits. We have the cups, we have the wands, we have the swords, and we have the pentacles. Are any of them more prominent? Usually there is one suit more prominent, and certainly it's the cups. We have the client who is a cup, which is an emotional water sign. So we have 1, 2, not counting the client, 1, 2, 3, 4 cups. As far as wands are concerned, there are 2 wands, there are 2 pentacles, and there are 2 swords. So there is more a feeling, emotion, love, relationships, healing that is taking place. And the word that I'm going to use for my client is an emotional healing is being looked at, identified, and hopefully resolved. Okay. We then look at the numbers. Which ones have been repeated? Well, we have 1, an ace. We have 1, 2. We have 2 5s. We have 2 9s, and we have 1 3. So the prominent number are the 2 9s and the 2 5s. So let's look at the energy of the 5s. If we're going to give it a numerology, because in numerology there is wording for what the number stands for. Number 5 in numerology has to do with the word adjustment and change. Number 9 in numerology has to do with not only completions, but it has to do with endings and possibilities. So we have that challenge to have an ending with greater knowledge, experience, and possibilities. The 5s say this is where you are at a crossroad, because in the tarot, in the minor suits, there's always 10 cards. The number 5 cards, we know that we have 4 before it and we have 4 following it. So the 5 is like a crossroad. I'm choosing. I can look back at the previous 4, because if I'm at the 5 level, I've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I can perceive my possibility of what 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are going to be, right? Well, not really 10, because that's a higher octave of the number 1. But the next 4 cards is really perceiving, kind of an educated guess. And so the 5 is very crucial in understanding. And our client realized that there's been opposition. At this point, I am certain that it is within her, that there are different voices. Like, I've had this experience with this result. I've taken this stance and gotten that. And through it, with the Page of Wands, this energy, this enterprise, this growth, or even stagnation when it's reversed, there is no growth, then she feels less than or unproductive. So this 5 now being brought here in the suit of Pentacles is more encouraging. Why? Well, the suit of Pentacles says there is great opportunity for change and growth. Put your seed in the ground and nurture it, and there will be newness. There will be greater growth. With the Knight of Pentacles underneath this, she's realizing that maybe she's got to stop experiencing the pity party, or she needs to stop thinking that she feels sorry for what has happened in the past, or she wasn't as productive, or she feels responsible for other people and what occurs in them, which has left her kind of handicapped and not enjoying life. So here, the opportunity is, that's in the past now. You don't need to feel handicapped, burdened, alone, destitute. If you go with your hopes, your desires, and your goals, you will be victorious. But what you may lose, the possible income, is if you don't release that feeling of what's the use, futility, I'm not ever going to amount to anything, that choice is up to you, then there is a much greater possibility of a brighter outcome where she pulls herself up, works with the past pains, lets go of feeling that she's got to take on other people's burdens, where she'll start looking more optimistically in the future and understand more, because psychologically she's going to have to address these things and basically let them go, or let them other people fend for themselves, and realize to love herself first, and that relationships we seem to draw better relationships when we have a better attitude and self-confidence within ourselves. So I'm going to end it there, and I hope that you found this informative. And if you have any questions, always feel free to contact me. I always give my email address, and then next time I do a video, we will do the end of the Modified Celtic Cross, where I show you how I've changed it and added a lot of information that helps you look at the next position in the original Celtic Cross, where you can bring insight to your client, because that's what it's all about as a tarot reader. How can I best serve those who come and seek my counsel? And that is why I modified it to get additional information. So I look forward to sharing that with you. Thanks everybody for tuning in and being part of my channel. I look forward to being a little bit more instrumental. It's been quite a challenging time for me. Till then, everybody, take care. Lots of love. Bye for now.